Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. My name is Amy with 2 E's, and I am the CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and courses, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. Listen, if you like the style of my podcast, you're going to love the Irresistible You online course and VIP private podcast. That's right. You get access to the VIP private podcast when you enroll in the course. If you want to go ahead and snag your seat and learn more about it, please head over to irresistibleicing.com/course. The link is in the show notes. Welcome to episode 254 of the Irresistible You podcast. In today's episode, we are talking and digging into the thanks but syndrome. I will explain everything in just a second, but I will say this. If you are a woman who struggles owning your weight loss progress and struggles getting noticed for your weight loss progress or getting compliments, this episode is going to be for you. So the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about thanks but. If you're a long-term listener, you've probably heard me talk about this many, many times because it's one of our glossary terms here on the podcast. But thanks but. The thanks but syndrome is when you are on a weight loss journey and someone sees you and notices, oh my gosh, you're losing weight. You look so good. Oh my God, wow, you look amazing. And the first thing out of your mouth is thanks, but, and then fill in the blank, right? Thanks, but I still have 30 pounds to lose. Thanks, it's really hard. Thanks, but, I haven't been following my plan. Thanks, but I've been messing up lately. I should have lost more by now. The laundry list of excuses on the thanks but is endless. So think about times where you've had that compliment and that has been your reaction to someone is thanks but. What we're talking about here is eliminating this or working on trying to stop doing this as often. Why do we do it? We do it from insecurity. We do it from all or nothing thinking. We do it from a place of perfectionism. We do it feeling, I think ultimately what lies underneath of all of those things I just gave you is a feeling that we don't deserve good things. We don't deserve to win. We don't deserve to be noticed for our efforts. When you struggle on the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle, one of the characteristics that's very common is an all or nothing mentality, a perfectionism mentality. So when someone gives you that compliment, and let's say you're trying to lose 100 pounds and you're, I'll use myself in this example, 70 plus pounds down, and your first thing out of your mouth is, thanks, but I still have 30 pounds to lose. That is the all or nothing thinking of like, well, I'm still not skinny. Well, I'm still not at goal weight. So if someone's giving me this compliment, obviously it's not true. Obviously they're blowing smoke up my ass. Obviously they don't really mean it because how could they think I look good if I'm still fat? Because you have to work on your all or nothing perfectionism thinking. You have success all the way down the scale. Success is not just when you get to your goal weight. And I tell you that when you do get to your goal weight, if you don't work on your emotional weight and how you think and feel about yourself, nothing will ever feel good enough because you will always have something to bitch and complain about and hate about yourself, right? So the thanks but syndrome, you do it. We know why we're doing it. We don't consciously sit there and go, oh, I don't feel good about myself, or I have an all or nothing mentality, so I'm going to say thanks, but it's this knee jerk reaction because it's a subconscious way of thinking. And the way that we change the pattern of how we think and talk about ourselves is to first gain that self awareness. This podcast is your entry point to gaining that self awareness, right? I am telling you something that we've all thought inside of our head or we've all done, and now you're hearing it out loud. It's bringing awareness to something that you didn't maybe realize you were even doing. Or you're hearing this for the first time going, oh my God, I always say that to people. Okay. So when people ask, here's the follow-up question. Okay. You see someone and they're like, oh my God, girl, you've lost so much weight. You look so good. What is their next logical question? Almost 9 times out of 10. I'm listening. I'm waiting. And I know you're saying it out loud or you're thinking it. The next question that is 9 times out of 10 coming out of that person's mouth is, oh my God, what are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you losing weight? And this question continues to trigger your self-doubt and your shame instead of confidence and conviction about what you're actually doing. So what do you do here in the thanks but syndrome? You've done your thanks but, and now you're like giving them this laundry list of everything that's not going right. Okay. So you say things like, let's just use this as an example. Oh, thanks, but I still have 30 pounds to lose, and I've been doing GLP-1 injections, but I haven't taken them this is where I'm talking about right here. I haven't taken them the last couple of weeks. I've been kind of binging. I've been overeating. I haven't been getting in my protein. I haven't been doing this and this and this and this and this. Girl, stop. No one cares to know that information, and no one needs to know that. You just have to own the damn compliment, period. Own it. Thank you so much. And after they give you the compliment, you don't need to feel obligated to then, because what do we do also? We immediately jump into, without them asking us how we're doing it, we immediately jump into, thanks, bud. I got 30 pounds to go, and I've been doing the GLP-1 injections, and like, enough, okay? They've asked you what let's say they do ask that follow-up question, they ask you what you're doing. I just want to also say behind this is that, and this is something I tell my daughter when it comes to her diabetic devices, you are not obligated to tell anyone anything about yourself. Even if that person is asking, how are you losing weight? That might be very personal for you. You don't need to answer those questions. You don't need to get into detail unless you want to get into detail, right? With Catalina being type 1 and she wears an insulin pump and a CGM, a lot of times kids that don't know her or they see her for the first time, they're very curious and they ask her, hey, what's that? And I've told her, it's your body, it's your decision. If you tell that person yes or no, you don't have to answer them. And it's the same thing here, okay? But if you are going to answer the question, all you have to answer is what they asked. And what they asked you is, what are you doing? How are you losing weight? When you're approaching it from the thanks but syndrome, you're coming into it and explaining to them all the ways you've been fucking up your diet. And that's not what they asked. And the reason you do that, a couple things here. Number one, it goes back to you don't feel worthy enough of the compliment because you've got all or nothing thinking, and you're thinking that if you're not at your goal weight, you don't look good yet, okay? And because you're not at your goal weight and you're still overweight, you don't want to come across as this perfectionist or this like perfect little, eater, workouter, whatever. So you're like, I got to make this more relatable. So I got to say all the things that I'm doing wrong. Thanks, but I got to get back on the wagon. I kind of fell off the last couple of weeks. Here's what I want you to know. Okay? Are you listening? Here's what I want you to know. That person that's looking at you and giving you a compliment and is so impressed by your progress that they're asking how you're doing it because they probably want to do it as well. That person did not see you last night sitting on the couch, staying up late, shoving your face with Cadbury caramel eggs. That person didn't see you have a meltdown and sit in the bathtub with a 6-pack of cupcakes. That person wasn't with you in the drive-thru while you were alone trying to, zone out from all the shit that's going on in your life and all the adulting that you don't want to do. That person wasn't sitting there when you were going back and forth in your brain about whether or not you were going to lace up your shoes and go on a walk. That person wasn't there. They don't know about these things, and they don't need to know. The reason you can't take the compliment and also confidently tell them, thank you, I'm doing da-da-da, is because you're not doing it perfectly. And you're not supposed to be doing it perfectly. That's the thing here, right? You've got this all or nothing thinking. That is the underlying problem in all of this, right? No one that has gone on a weight loss journey and has gotten to goal and has maintained their loss has not fucked it up on the way. We are all fucking it up. We're fucking it up down the scale, okay? And that is human. That is normal, okay? And we don't have to keep, and that's the thing is you've always thought of this as number one, as dieting, right? And number two, if I'm a good little dieter, I can't fuck it up. I have to do good. I have to stay on track. And every single time I have a binge or I go off plan, now I'm starting over on Monday. That right there is the epitome of your problem, is the start over on Monday, which is, again, it's all or nothing thinking. So when people ask you, what are you doing? We're not giving them this laundry list of bullshit that you're doing behind the scenes. All the bad, let's quote unquote, bad off-plan things that you're doing. What we're going to do is just say, thank you. I've been working really hard at this. That's it. You don't have to tell them how you're losing weight, what you're doing. It's like, thank you. I've been working really hard. And it's completely up to you how much detail you're willing to share with that person. Okay. So we've talked about the thanks but syndrome when people ask the follow-up question. And so now, I want you to own, girl, like I need you to own your wins. I need you to own your successes. And when someone takes the time out of their day to give you a compliment, own it. Don't be rude. That compliment is like a gift, and that person is giving you a gift. And when you thanks but them all the way to the bank, what you're doing is you're essentially telling them, I don't like your gift and I'm going to go return it. I'm going to go get my ass in line at Kohl's and I'm going to go return this box back to Amazon. That's what you're doing, okay? What I need you to understand is that you don't see what they see. You can't see what other people see yet because you don't have the confidence and the belief in what you're doing yet, because you still have a long way to go in building that, losing that emotional weight and building that emotional resilience. You don't have that yet. So you can't see what other people see. And it's also, you see yourself every day. You know how much more weight you have to lose. So all you focus on is what you're not doing, where you're not at yet. Reframe this in your head, okay? Reframe this, because listen, when that person looks at you, they are seeing someone who is gaining momentum. They are seeing someone who is showing up and making those decisions. They are seeing someone who clearly is making changes in their life. They are seeing someone who has had the mental strength to choose this over that. They are seeing someone who is inspiring and motivating to them. Think about when you run into someone that that you've seen and they've lost a lot of weight and they just look incredible, how motivated and inspired you feel in that moment. Okay? When you see yourself right now, you're only seeing it from the viewpoint of what's on the scale. You're only seeing it from all of your imperfections. You're only seeing it from all the late night snacking, all the binges, right? That's what you're seeing. And I'm here to tell you that has to change. And it's not just so we can be good, friendly and nice to other people, because we're not people pleasers on this podcast. You need to people please your damn self. You need to start people pleasing yourself. And the way that you do that is by owning your shit, dropping the all or nothing thinking, and believing that what you're doing is amazing. That person is already witnessing the transformation. That person is already seeing the payoff of all of that. Just sometimes it's mental anguish. Let's just be very real. Sometimes the decision between the salad or the burger feels like a never-ending battle, and it feels mentally draining. They are seeing the results of those sacrifices. Because weight loss, ultimately, there's a sacrifice, right? You're either choosing this or you're choosing that. That's just the way it is. They're seeing that shift, that transformation in you, even when you don't see it for yourself. So now it's time to own your success and see what other people see, okay? And this really matters. Like I said, this is all emotional weight that you are carrying. When we talk about emotional weight is the weight of what you think and feel about yourself that you don't see on the scale, right? It doesn't show up in the number. It is everything that you carry mentally and emotionally with you. And when you have self-doubt and you are constantly self-deprecating and doubting yourself and just your thanks button all day long, that's exhausting. That's exhausting because it's heavy. It's emotionally heavy. And so you can't continue to, move downwards on the scale and get to your goal weight, your physical goal weight, when you're still carrying around this massive amount of emotional weight. The emotional weight has to go. And we're not just trying in a weight loss journey. And I say this till I am blue in the face, but a weight loss journey is so much more than the number on the scale and the size in your jeans. A weight loss journey, a true for life, lose it for the last time weight loss journey, we have to match our mindset with our new body. We have to match our mindset and with the physical version of who we're becoming, because you won't maintain, you won't stay there, because you still won't believe that you're good enough. You still won't think you're at your goal weight. You'll still continue to see and feel yourself as the bigger version of you. And so we've got to do the work to match what's up here in our minds and our feelings and our thoughts with the changes that are going on in our bodies. We have to, or this won't sustain itself in the long term. So what do we do with this information? I love that you're a listener. I love that you're here listening to the podcast or watching the podcast on YouTube. But I will be the first to tell you, it's not enough. It's not enough to just sit here and listen. You have to absorb the information, and the learning and development professional in me is going to just continue to beat this into you. You have to apply the information. We don't remember things we don't apply. We don't incorporate changes in our life and we don't apply them to our life, right? And so one of the things I want you to do as a takeaway is you have to start practicing accepting compliments without the disclaimer. We do not need a disclaimer at the beginning or the end of your statement back to the person. So some examples, I shared some with you already, but you can say things like, thanks, I've really been working hard. Thanks, I've really been showing up for myself lately. Thanks, it feels so good to be consistent. Thank you, it feels so good to be healthier. Thanks, I've put in the work and I'm really proud of myself. Thank you. Or thank you. That's it. It's a complete sentence. Just like no is a complete sentence, so is thank you. And, you can do this in your journaling exercises. You can do this in the mirror. You can do this, you take out your camera and record yourself. You can practice with a friend. You can practice with a family member. You can, do the mental work as well. So there's the practicing. There's also doing all the mental work to drop the emotional weight. Right? There's a lot of layers to learning how to drop the emotional weight. And I want to say that if you don't know where to begin, if you don't even have a clue, I would love for you to take a look into my private course. In my online self-study course, this is where you will get the 5 guiding principles that are going to give you everything you need to start turning around how you think and feel about yourself as it relates to your weight. In that course, this is something I added new for 2025, but you also get access to the private VIP podcast. What is that, you ask? The private VIP podcast is the entire course broken out into episodes on a podcast. So for those of you that like to learn on the go, you like to multitask, you're doing carpools all the time, driving around from here to there, have a long commute, or you just like listening, I cannot stress enough how important audio learning is. There are studies that show how much audio learning just sticks with you. And I will give you an example is I listen to podcasts all the time in the car. When I drive past certain landmarks or places, let's say I haven't even thought about this podcast in months, all of a sudden I get like this flashback to something I heard on the podcast because audio learning is that important. It is that powerful. So in that course, yes, you get access to the online course, all the videos, all the workbooks, all the worksheets, which I highly recommend that you do that because doing the work is a big piece of it. And I drill that home in the course is you need to apply what you're learning. You need to implement. However, you also get that course in podcast form. So one thing about learning, guys, and this goes to my students who are listening that are already enrolled, you don't go through something one time and become an expert. Think about preschool. You didn't go to preschool and learn your ABCs and then, for the next 13 years, you didn't touch that again, right? Every single year from preschool to 12th grade, you're building on those phonics. You're building on that thing that you learned in the very beginning of preschool. Now in 12th grade, it's going to look very different. You're reading novels, you're writing, research papers, things like that all the way through college. But you understand where I'm going is you don't learn something one time and call yourself an expert. So for those of you that are already in the course, go back through it again. And here's what happens. When we do something again, let's say it's been a couple years since you've touched it or a couple months, who you are now versus a few years ago, you're a different person. You're a different version of you. So when you go through the material, you are going to have a new takeaway, right? You are going to have a new epiphany. You are going to have a new way of going, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, right? And also, if you're an existing student and you haven't done the private podcast, what are you waiting for? Get in there and do it. I do see there's a lot of downloads, so you guys are, taking advantage of that. But if you are not a student of mine, I highly encourage you to sign up and enroll. That course is going to give you the resources and tools that you need. You are the magic component to that because you have to apply. You have to do the work. Head over to irresistibleicing.com/course. That is the sign up page. It gives you a full list of details. There's student testimonials. There's sneak peek videos of what everything looks like. And you can always DM me or message me if you have questions. So, start doing the practice work to work on accepting compliments, right? Like I said, you can do this with yourself in a journal, in the mirror, on your phone camera. You can work with, a friend or a family member to do that. And you also then have to start working on losing the emotional weight. The compliment acceptance is just one thing, right? Underneath of that, like we talked about at the beginning, the underlying problem is you have an all or nothing thinking problem. You have a confidence problem. You have a self-worth crisis, quite frankly. It is a self-worth crisis. And the reason I say that is this is not just showing up. This is not just showing up in your compliment acceptance, your thanks budding. A self-worth crisis is showing up in every single aspect of your life. If you don't believe me, start journaling on this. Start asking yourself questions. How am I not showing up for myself? How am I not showing up fully at work? How am I not showing up fully with my children? What am I holding back on? What am I not allowing myself to do? What am I telling myself about myself? That wanting to be in a different job, a different position, to start a business, lots of those kinds of things can be directly correlated and tied back to your self-worth crisis. Because as long as you don't love yourself, as long as you don't believe in yourself, as long as you don't think you are worthy of good things, you won't put yourself in positions to be recognized, to be rewarded, to be noticed, and to be complimented. You will never put yourself in those situations. You just won't. That's the cold, hard truth that no one is out here telling you how to do. The diet industry, toxic diet culture, all they are out here telling you is that you are have no willpower because you don't know how to lose weight, because you keep failing. And if you really want to lose the weight this time, just do my diet. That's what they're telling you. They're not mentioning the real hidden pieces because they've hidden it for years. This is what matters. The emotional weight is what matters, because that will drive every single decision in your life. Every single time. So let's get out of the self-worth crisis. Let's do the work that we need to do, and let's create an irresistible version of ourselves and an irresistible life. So I am going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I would love for you to leave a rating and review on your podcast player, whichever one you are listening to, and keep up with me over on Instagram. I am at Irresistible Icing. That is where I am the most active on social media. And you can also DM me there if you have questions or want to share anything. I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.